What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe as you tune into the channel. Check out the content. And with that being said, man, I want to talk about some comments that Jason Whitlock made about Stephen A. Smith. As you all probably know, Jimmy Kimmel's show was canceled because of some statements that he made about the assassination of what's the guy named Charlie Kirk. Well, really, Donald Trump's response to the assassination of Charlie Kirk, right? And so Jason Whitlock seems to think that Stephen A. Smith is going to replace Jimmy Kimmel, or if not replace Jimmy Kimmel, he's thinking that the mainstream media is setting Stephen A. Smith up to also for politics, right? And so, in my opinion, I think that Stephen A. Smith going into politics, I think that'll be on his part. I think that'll be a big mistake because Stephen A. Smith, although he is good at like sports talk and stuff like that, politics is a whole different. It's just a whole different animal, right? And so in politics, you can't walk down the street. You got down the middle of the street. You have to pick a side and be able to defend that side and stand on it, especially when you're talking to other politicians. Like when you giving a message to constituents and stuff like that. Sometimes you can get away with like skirting the lines and stuff like that. But other politicians, especially like your people who consider themselves your enemies, they try to tie you down to to a certain stance and to different statements and stuff like that. So I would like to see Stephen A. Smith go into politics because I want to see how he would manage that type of situation. But Jason Whitlock, thinks that this is what's coming next, right? For Stephen A. Smith, like he's going to be into politics. So I'm going to play Jason Whitlock's his thoughts on Stephen A. Smith going into politics, and then I'm gonna give my take on the situation.
I believe Bob Iger would love nothing more than to replace a liar, an ineffective liar at this point, Jimmy Kimmel, with the pathological liar that they have been selling on ESPN and selling on now the sales job over the last year has been like, hey, let's move these lies and this pathological liar, Stephen A. Smith, let's let him go contaminate and cross pollinate with conservative influencers. Let's let them help us sell the lies of Stephen A. Smith. And so that's why you've been seeing Stephen A. Smith on every conservative podcast there is, from Megyn Kelly to Bill O'Reilly to Clay Travis to who am I forget? Brandon Tatum. Who am I? Officer Tatum. Ben Shapiro. Everybody's been playing footsie with Stephen A. Smith.
Let me stop it right there for a second, right? Stephen A. Smith have been making like his rounds and stuff, going on to different political platforms and different shows talking. But I don't think that Stephen A. Smith, that is a sign that Stephen A. Smith is going to take over for Jimmy Kimmel. Like I said, if he goes into politics, then he'll be, you know, that's a whole different arena. And I think, that is, it's they are aggressive. They don't play in that political arena. So I don't think that, but I don't think it's going to be as far as like him having a talk show. I don't think that's where it's going to, go at. That's the route he's going to take.
Everybody's been ignoring the fact when they have Stephen, you can have Stephen A. Smith on. He's got a following. He's a big deal on ESPN. But no one asked Stephen A. Smith a legitimate question. No one said, hey man, you seem fraudulent. You made up a college basketball career. You wrote a book filled with every BLM lie to be told. You've pretended, oh, I got pulled over after a Detroit Pistons game and lied.
Yeah, see, it's just a whole different level of scrutiny. You know, it's like I said, it's not like sports where as though you are entitled to your own opinion over, you know, when we're talking about basketball or you talking about football or any sport, you're entitled to your own opinion. It's just a whole different level.
Locked up, and I had to call a female friend in Atlanta to bail me out because the 2 or 3 white people that were in my car, he doesn't even explain what they did after he allegedly got arrested. This is the most fraudulent man in media, and he had everything. He's a racial idolater. He's a race baiter. He's a racial divider. And everybody just can't wait to sit down and tap into Stephen A. Smith's audience, which is really handing over part of their audience to Stephen A. Smith. And look, normally I'm not a fence sitter. Everybody knows that.
All right, so yeah, I don't agree that Stephen A. Smith going to take that over. I think because Stephen A. Smith just understands that it's just a whole bunch of different, a whole level of scrutiny that he probably know that he's not ready for. They do dig deep into your background and they try to they try to, like, everything you say, they want to prove whether it's true or not. So they're going to definitely vet you. So I think it'll be funny though. Let me see some comments, right? Late night. Let me see. Late night was Johnny Carson, Dave Letterman, Jay Leno. It's been years since it was worth staying up to watch late night. And I can agree with that. You know, like, I did used to watch Jay Leno, but I never watched like Jimmy Kimmel, Conan O'Brien, or anybody that came after. Like, I watched Johnny Carson, Jay Leno, but after that, I didn't watch late night TV. Let me see. I think Whitlock is obsessed with Stephen A. That's a good point. I think that I don't know why Jason Whitlock just stays on. He stays on Stephen A. Smith, right? Now, the reason why it's not really as good as it could be, because Stephen A. Smith don't really pay any attention to Jason Whitlock. And I would think that somebody like Jason Whitlock would get bored and not really, after a while just lose interest. But Jason Whitlock do not give up. So I think that Jason Whitlock really thinks that Stephen A. Smith is going to become a political figure, and then that will drag people, because people are going to start using his quotes and using what he says about Stephen A. Smith. So if Stephen A. Smith do decide to run for office, that will elevate in a crazy kind of way. That'll elevate Jason Whitlock. Let me read some more. This right here says Stephen A. Smith lives rent-free in Clown Lock Head. Yeah, I do think that to a certain extent, Jason Whitlock is obsessed with Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith, no one watched his First Take. He single-handedly destroyed ESPN viewership. Let me see. Him and Ryan Clark. Everyone is tired of angry black men playing the race card or the slave card or white privilege or whatever else on Twitter and TikTok. All of the rationale and insane takes that he makes. Right. And so, yeah, man, I don't know, man, if Stephen A. Smith is like I said, he gonna run for that office or not. It would have been a big flop if they replace Jimmy Kimmel with Stephen A. Smith. Yeah, see, I don't think, like, I know like Jimmy Kimmel is a comedian, so he's a witty kind of person, and he says some things, you know, but I don't think Stephen A. Has that kind of wit, and that kind of humor that can hold a show. If I think like sports is that's his comfort zone. So, but I hope he do run for some type of office, man. That'd be funny because then really this guy Jason Whitlock really is going to be going at him if he running for politics. Everything he says is going to be he gonna make him out to be a communist and all kinds of crazy stuff. So yeah, man, I just wanted to talk about that situation though. This topic with Stephen A. Smith possibly going into politics or maybe even taking over the Jimmy Kimmel show. I think the Jimmy Kimmel show is coming back now. So, but yeah, man, that's all I got for this episode. Make sure to like and subscribe. Also, don't forget to leave a comment, and I will check you all out in the next video. Peace.